It is a tool to solve a lot of problems that we have in El Salvador. And having Bitcoin in the hands of the people, I think that's the main point, because it will give power to the people, which we haven't had that power like historically. So to me personally, I think that that's one of the reasons why I will like to see more circular economies in El Salvador, like to help the people, to help the poor people especially, to have a better future.
Hello and welcome, everyone. Today I'm speaking with Evelyn and Gerardo from Bitcoin Berlin. Bitcoin Berlin is quite a new place to me, and I imagine it's a new place to people listening as well, because it's a small town in El Salvador, surrounded by a bunch of volcanoes. It takes about 4 hours to get here from El Sonte Bitcoin Beach, or 3 and a bit hours if you're in San Salvador. And there is crazy high levels of not just merchant Bitcoin penetration, but also Bitcoiners moving here, El Salvadoran Bitcoiners moving back here, expats moving here. So I wanted to talk to the brains behind the project, which is Evelyn and Gerardo, to understand what on earth is going in Bitcoin Berlin, and is this the real Bitcoin city? Forget La Union. Is this the place to be if you're interested in Bitcoin in El Salvador? So welcome, you guys. How are you doing today? I'll ask you, Gerardo, first. How are you doing today, mate?
Everything great. A lot of Bitcoiners coming to Berlin that last few days. Now it's really nice, everything that's happening here in Berlin.
Yeah, nice one. And Evelyn, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Really excited about all that's happening and having you here as well.
Oh, thanks.
It is really good for us. I mean, we were looking to meet you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Pressure's on for me then. I've got to live up.
We have a few questions too.
You do? I mean, do you want to get them off your chest straight away?
No.
Should we air these grievances? I did mention the word Ethereum earlier, and I saw some eyes roll, so... Oh, really? Great, okay. Are we going to switch back and we'll do your podcast straight after this? We can do it in español, eh? Si prefieren.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do a quick 15 minutes one. Pretty sure people like to hear that.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'd love to do that. That'd be great. Cool. We've just made some more work for ourselves. Well done, guys. This is the problem with Bitcoin, always making work for each other. So before we get into the actual founding of Berlin, how did you guys become, Bitcoiners? What's your story leading up to this moment? I'll ask you first, Gerardo.
So I heard Evelyn talking about it. I didn't really pay attention much to it.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll ask Evelyn first then.
Yeah.
Evelyn.
Yeah, no, well, I was trying to educate myself about finances. That's how I started. It was in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing this course that it was run by Russians. So they make you like basically have a portfolio.
Oh, right.
And in that portfolio was crypto. And in those crypto, I found Bitcoin. So
When was this roughly?
that was in 2019.
Okay, nice.
So then I kind of studied what Bitcoin was back then and acquired a little bit. But it was in 2021 when it became a legal tender in El Salvador, when I got like deep into like the rabbit hole and trying to understand it, because if it was going to be a legal tender, I wanted to know what was the meaning for El Salvador. So that's how I got involved in Bitcoin education, and I got involved in trying to understand more to be able to explain to people.
Nice.
So
What was your background prior to that? Why were you interested in finances and savings and portfolios and that sort of
it
stuff?
was just because, I mean, the reason why I wanted to put like my life in order, it is looking to the future, looking people around 70s, 80s still working, and I don't want to be that person in the future. So I said to myself, I need to work right now for the elderly me.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to like try to learn how to manage my finances.
Nice. Was that quite a unique perspective? Or do you think that lots of Salvadorans also think that way? That they look around and see people, I mean, I see this in the UK and I see it in Portugal, people that should definitely be sat on a sofa or playing cards, and instead they're still working, they're still fishing. Is this the sort of thing that you see in El Salvador and you're receptive to it, and there are other people like that? Or do you think that you were quite unique in approaching it from the way that you did?
I think that there's many people right now, at least in these new generations, that are trying to have a different lifestyle than what people used to have in El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that more people is trying to understand, even elderly people, they are trying to understand more about how to put in order the finances. So I think that that's good. That's a positive thing that Bitcoin has brought to the country.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you think, I mean, we'll come back to Gerardo about your story, but just on this topic of financial literacy, how would you evaluate the sort of average level of financial literacy in El Salvador? And within that question, is there a savings culture here?
Not really.
Okay.
We have talked about it because it's interesting for us for what we're doing.
Yeah.
Trying to create a circular economy, and that means different things for everyone. For us, it means using Bitcoin as money, we use the US dollar, and within that is savings. Right now, we have luck, or we have been successful trying to teach people how to use it. Send and receive Bitcoin here in Berlin is pretty common. When it comes to savings, it's more difficult, and we understand that it's because we have always been a poor country historically. A lot of families living on the day to day. We kind of got used to that. So we're talking about generations of doing the same and not having this saving culture. So we know is a big challenge when it comes to education, trying to teach people about savings. But in general, I don't think El Salvador has a saving culture.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of the weird things about Bitcoin though, right? Is that I didn't really save prior to Bitcoin. And then this hodl, hodl, hodl meme. Hodl in basic English just means save. It actually says like save for your future, like think about your future a bit differently. But it's very powerful. But at the same time, the whole world needs that. And then in places like El Salvador or I'm trying to think of other examples. Lots of emerging markets worldwide where there is a hand-to-mouth existence, like the idea of saving is just such a foreign concept, right? It's okay. And what about your story coming into Bitcoin? Was you orange pilled by Evelyn?
Yeah, no.
This is great, by the way. This is the first time I've heard of the girl in the relationship orange pilling the guy. It's great.
And no, I heard Evelyn, talking about it, and not really paying much attention until it started to make. We started to hear the rumor about Bitcoin being a legal tender in El Salvador. That's when I started to look into it, and I didn't stop. I haven't stopped ever since. Like learning, and I went like really into Bitcoin. We started to go to meetups, and met my primer Bitcoin, my first Bitcoin.
Nice, John Dennehy and his crew.
Yeah. So we asked, we want to, be part of it. We want to participate. How do we? And we started to teach Bitcoin. When I was learning, was
the best way to learn is to teach.
Exactly. So that's why I was, ever since I started to learn a lot about Bitcoin. And then we got the idea of coming here, Berlin, moving, and now we're doing this.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Okay. And so around that time that you were hearing these rumors of Bitcoin becoming legal tender, had you heard of Bitcoin Beach, El Sonte as well? Did you have the chance to go down there and check it out?
Yeah, we went a few times. We heard about the story. We saw the YouTube videos and read all we can about Bitcoin Beach. And the interesting thing about, at least for me, is that they started before it became a legal tender.
Okay.
I mean, they started back in 2019, and it became legal tender in 2021 here.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting for me, that part. And yeah, we definitely, before trying to, build our own circular economy, we studied what was happening in El Sonte.
Yeah. No, I think it's inspired lots of people around the world. So think about their towns differently. But your situation is different in a way because, as I understand it, you were living in San Salvador and you're looking to get out of the city, but you're looking to get out of the city with this motivation of, cleaner air and, nice surroundings, and also establish a Bitcoin circular economy. So you weren't necessarily locals when setting up Berlin, right? So talk me through how that was. Like, what's it like? Firstly, trying to find out where we're going to live, and then secondly, where set up this Bitcoin circular economy. What do you look for when trying to set up this circular economy?
We knew we wanted a cooler weather.
Okay,
because El Salvador can get hot.
As an understatement.
It's half of the year it's crazy, and the other half is rainy, like the rest of the country. But we wanted a cooler weather, so we knew it had to be a mountain.
Yeah.
So we started to look mountains, and we actually went to different parts of the country. We went to Chalatenango, which is north side of the country,
Okay.
looking for some town, quiet town in the mountains. But back then we already took the decision to move from San Salvador. We knew we wanted a mountain, and we were at the same time collaborating with Mi Primer Bitcoin, like giving classes in high school, like everywhere. We gave classes in the high school here, the one in Alegria, which is the nearby town by the beach, La Pirraya. We were going like everywhere.
Okay.
And when we came here to Berlin, we liked it. Actually, Evelyn came here before.
It's not far from Alegria. Alegria is only, 20 minutes up the road? Yeah.
And I remember Evelyn calling me when she came first time here to Berlin after a while, because she said that she came here when she was a kid. And I like this place, this is the place where we should move and so on. And at the end, we decided for Berlin because of the weather.
Sounds like Evelyn decided and you followed.
Yeah.
But that's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I just need a bed, and then Evelyn's the one.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing, mate. Don't worry.
He fell in love with Berlin as well. I came way before we came to teach.
Yeah.
And I started to ask, like, how are the prices for the housing, the rents? And I told him, I want to move there. And
Nice.
it was like me manifesting, because next year we were here.
Nice. And so what are the prices here? Like, what we're talking, like, say, a 2-bed apartment nearish the center of town. Is that like $500 a month, $1,000 a month?
Now, maybe $300 a month.
$300 a month.
$100 a month,
Yes.
and you can get a 2-bedroom apartment, close to the center of the city.
Okay, I probably shouldn't have said that on a podcast publicly because,
Yeah, everyone's gonna come. Yeah, no, but that's cool. But then there's some other challenges. Water might not. You might not have water like every day. You can have these tanks, and if you have a good enough tank, you barely notice.
Yeah,
that there's no water.
Well, I noticed that in Nikki and James's place, they converted their what used to be a water tank into a little plunge swimming pool. But yeah, what do you call it again?
Pila.
Pila. Okay.
No, the P.
Oh, pila. Oh, like a battery.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, okay, cool. I guess it is a water battery.
That's a typical Salvadorian. We use it to collect water, and not many people here have like a washing machine. So you wash your clothes
In the pila.
not inside, but on the.
Oh, so that's why there's that ledge next to it. So it's like you rub the clothes over that. Oh, cool. Yeah, that is old school. Okay, so washing machines are a relatively new introduction to Berlin.
Not relatively neat, but
It's because they are expensive.
yeah, people cannot afford them sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. And now there are more and more Bitcoiners flocking to Berlin. We'll touch on this a little bit later, but just let me get a sense of what Berlin is like. I cut you off mid-sentence there. So the rents are about, what, 200, 300 a month nearest the town center. What else is life like in Berlin?
I mean, what does a Bitcoiner need? Some meat, some raw milk, and eggs.
Local community.
Yeah, local community, some Bitcoin going on. So you mean all of that here. Yeah, exactly. And you got a lot of that here as well. So you pretty much have everything you need. Then
Also, the internet connection, I noticed, is pretty good here.
yeah, internet connection. Yeah. We get a pretty good internet connection, so you can work from here. You get fresh weather, a nice community, nice local people that is always happy to accept Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, again, what else you need?
And you live in a volcano.
Yeah, no, that is special. I flew my drone this morning at sunrise to take some pictures, and I was like, wow, it is literally just, you turn that way, there's a volcano, there's this way, there's another volcano. It's a pretty special, and it has this really lovely stillness to it. But I don't want to sugarcoat it. So what's the rainy season like? Like, are the roads, because I noticed a lot of the roads are dirt roads. Are they washing away? Because when I lived in Africa, in the rainy season, that road becomes a small stream, and then it becomes like a challenging place to drive across. Is that the same here?
Yeah, it gets floated.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we only had 2 seasons in El Salvador, 6 months of sun, 6 months of rain. I mean, not rain like all the time, because you still get sun on rainy season.
Yeah, it builds up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Then it gets really, really humid, and then the sky just explodes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like that. And here in Berlin, because it's a mountain, maybe the storms are more like, they're kind of crazy because it's really windy.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean,
But it's good. I love the rains here. And when I didn't have that before, it was scary in the beginning. There's a lot of thunders. but it's good. It's good. I enjoy it now. Like, there's a lot of birds singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I noticed that of the Bitcoiners in the expat community that have moved here, a lot of them moved here from the beaches. And because like the heat at the beaches is, ferocious, right? And you have to sleep with air conditioning at the beaches, whereas here there's no you don't need air conditioning. Like in the daytime, yeah, you can have a couple of fans going because is it 30 degrees outside or?
Yeah, you
I don't know.
barely get 30 degrees. I mean, it's always, 26, something like that.
I think the hottest is 27 because I like to take the count of how hot it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Don't
it's
just verify.
usually between 19 and 22. Okay, and it's not summer.
Yeah.
And during summer, it will be up to 27.
Okay. Nice. And the people here, sorry, I'm just going through like a few checkpoints, like, weather, now demographics. What are the people in Berlin like? Like, how would you sort of describe them? I mean, are they highly educated? Are they older? Are they younger? What was Berlin's sort of historic industry, I guess? Like, is it mostly farmers or is it traders? What are we talking about for Berlin?
Yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
okay.
because historically has been, because of the mountain, a coffee place, a lot of coffee fincas. Then the price of the coffee went down, and around the 70s, 80s, people started to just sell their fincas, and now it's just houses there. A lot of entrepreneurs and touristic place, because a lot of families depending on tourism too. Now you get a lot of young people here. If you go to the park, any day in the afternoon, you're gonna see kids running and playing, and that's good. People live long here. We have met a lot of people, close to their hundreds and still living here. So yeah, you get all kind of ages. And when it comes to education, it's not that good. I mean, in general, the education we have in El Salvador, we have a lot to do yet. Like, I seen the books of high school students, and it's the same thing that I was taught.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that my uncles and the previous generation was taught.
Right.
It hasn't changed much. And when you talk to the kids and, with the high school students, and you check how much they know how to read and, a little after that. And that's really bad education. They're really smart though. I mean, people here is smart. It's just the education they might not.
Okay.
They pick up tech stuff really, really easy.
Okay.
Like young students.
Yeah. Why do you guys have such good English? What was do you work English speaking jobs, or did you spend some time abroad? What?
Yeah, no, I think in both of our cases, we self-learned it. And so I graduated from university, never got to work on what I've studied. And then I had to do something, so I got into the call centers. But and never took a call
Really?
in the call center. But then after that, I started to work as a freelance, and that was in 2019, freelancer. So since then, I've been working for U.S. companies, and I've been on the phone or things like that for offices, and that's how I practice. Because before having a community of expats, I didn't have the chance to talk to anyone in El Salvador.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it wasn't a tourist destination unless you're a surfer, right? Or I don't know, historian or something. Yeah. Okay. And what call centers outsource to El Salvador? Which American companies outsource their call centers to El Salvador?
There's many.
Really? It's quite common.
Yes. A lot of
Yeah.
US and Canadian as well companies.
I guess same time zone, cheaper workforce. But I didn't realize that the level of English proficiency in El Salvador was that high. So that would assume that it's quite good, right? That the English is doing well in schools.
English on schools is not something like really good. They teach you like the basics. Hello, how are you? Like how to introduce yourself. But that's it. If you want to learn, you need to go to like an academy or something, or learn by yourself.
So a lot of these people working in these call centers are self-starters. They're like self-taught, and
it has become a career now. Like after high school, you learn English, because that's going to open the doors for many companies that are looking for people that speaks English. So you can learn English in 2 years, while, going to the university is a 5 years degree. So people say, well, I might just learn English and start making some money. So that's why a lot of people speak English here in El Salvador.
Oh,
Especially in San Salvador.
San Salvador.
Just the call centers are only in San Salvador.
right. Okay. I mean, I haven't really noticed. I speak Spanish and try to speak Spanish as much as I can, but then there are a few people when you're in a group setting that don't speak a word or that many words of English, or they're not confident. But it's not been one of those places where I've been shocked by the very, very low levels of English. It's been pretty good, I'd say. And obviously you offer English classes here as well, right? That's
Yes.
written on the wall outside.
Yeah, we offer English classes here. There's not many people speaking English here in Berlin.
Okay.
Usually the people that has a career or speaks English or have some skill, they go to San Salvador because that's, where the opportunities are or the jobs are.
Yeah.
So there's not many people like speaking English here. We want to do the reverse, just like expats come and work remotely.
Yeah.
We want to teach Salvadorians how to do that. That way we can have people living in San Salvador learning how to work remotely, and maybe they move into these towns, like Berlin.
Nice.
And that's going to help the economy.
Yeah.
People with bringing money from outside Berlin, working remotely and spending it here. Doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin or not. It will help the economy. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we definitely touched a lot on the context of Berlin. There's one last thing, and I've just drawn an absolute blank, so I think I'm going to come back to it later. Oh no, it was about Berlin generally and attitudes to locals coming in. Like, oh no, that was it. So in San Salvador, sorry, that took me a while there. In San Salvador, there are certain pockets of San Salvador that feel like Gringolandia. You've got like Denny's and McDonald's and Pizza Hut and all this sort of stuff. And you can tell that sort of that part of the city is orienting towards the US, right? And saying like, oh, we're like America. You come to Berlin, and I haven't seen a single sign of Americanization, of the town.
Right.
And it's so refreshing and so nice to see. So I guess the first thing is, why is that? And then is there also a risk that Berlin also does what other affluent parts of the country are doing, pointing towards the US?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen at some level here in Berlin too. And in San Salvador happens because that's where everyone goes. Again, that's where the economy is moving, and all this change come with capital, and it helps create jobs and everything. But yeah, it starts to look like you describe it. Here in Berlin, you don't have this big change. You have a lot of, like I was telling you, entrepreneurs. There's no formal jobs here, so you're gonna see a lot of family business.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that it has helped us here to be successful in the Bitcoin adoption, because you always talk to the owner or the one taking the decision.
You go straight to them.
Yeah, because it's family business, mostly family business. Just name the business. It's family. It's family business most of the time. So that's why you don't have this big change. But the moment they come here, with money, it's gonna start to look like that. And what we need is like more towns like Berlin, so that way not everyone's gonna come at the same time. They will spread, like the expats and the people calling and everything. We need more towns like Berlin.
Okay. What were you about to say, Evelyn?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the same. That Gerardo mentioned that here is more of family-owned businesses, and that's why you don't see many chains. In San Miguel, I'm from San Miguel, so I was born and raised there.
Which is a city, an hour
It's
east of here?
1 hour away
Okay.
from Berlin. And but I remember as a kid going to these Pizza Hut, Pollo Campero.
Yeah.
and
That's Guatemalan though, isn't it? Pollo Campero.
Pollo Campero is from
Yeah.
Guatemala, yeah. But people in El Salvador also have that misconception that these are like the fancy places where you need to go. And I think that maybe it will not be, it will take some time if that happens in Berlin, because these businesses are focused on big cities, and Berlin is still developing. So, and what I have seen is like while we have been here, the people who is investing in the town, it's Salvadorians who live in other countries.
Right.
They are building new plazas, hotels, and it's owned by Berliners.
Huh.
So I think it's something positive because people is investing in the town. Yeah. And there's many mini supermarkets. We don't have big supermarkets here, but everything is locally owned.
Yeah, I noticed that you've got the Bitcoin sticker outside of supermarkets, which is quite unique as well. But again, it comes back to this family values, family oriented, family businesses sort of thing going on. Okay, so I think we've kind of touched upon this already, but like, what other opportunities did you see with Berlin? Why were you like, okay, that is where we need to start this circular economy?
Well, I will add some points, and then maybe you can add some more. So one of the first things that we found in Berlin is like, so we wanted to live here, right?
Yeah.
And we don't like to travel that much. We don't like traffic.
Yeah.
So that was one of the main points that we saw in Berlin. So basically, if you don't need anything in specific, you don't need to go out from Berlin to live your daily life. You can get your supplies here. So I think that's one of the points. Like, you have enough merchants for you to live to meet your needs. And then one of I think that the greatest highlight points is the people.
Right.
So when we came here, so we were not locals from Berlin. So when we came here and we started to talk to people, we didn't feel that rejection up front like you feel it in some other places. For example, I am from San Miguel, and I was giving classes to my friends. My mom, she has some friends, neighbors, and I was giving them classes, but they didn't get it that much. And when you went to like a merchant, they were like really reluctant to listening to you. And here in Berlin, I didn't experience the same. So I think that people, the kindness, and they've been really open to listen and to try something. That was one of the highlight points that led us to try to start the circular economy here.
Okay, and have, I guess, so much success with it as well, right? Yeah. What are you going to say, Gerardo?
Now it's pretty much the same. We saw the city. The concept of circular economy maybe it's not only with Bitcoin, but also like the same people interchanging merchandise or products and services within the same town. And like Evelyn said, if you don't want to go out Berlin, you can get pretty much everything here, like haircut, shoes, and clothes, and gas, and food, and name it. Everything's here in Berlin, even though it's
walkable, right?
a walkable town that has everything. So there's a check mark, there's a mountain, check mark. People is friendly here. They don't reject us right away when we talk about Bitcoin. They just don't care. Not against. No, you still find people against it.
Yeah.
But most of the time, people is open to listen. We started to make friends like really fast here because we were spending some time here. We were just going around businesses asking about Bitcoin. Then we learned that we didn't to go like Bitcoin as the first topic you want to talk to these people. Maybe ask them about their town or their business or whatever, and then start talking about Bitcoin. So we started to make friends there. So a lot of check marks, and at the end we were like, I think that we can do it here.
Okay.
And that's why we moved.
I'm wondering if there are some people listening and thinking to themselves, why does El Salvador need another Bitcoin circular economy? Like, the government made Bitcoin legal tender, so surely everyone should just be accepting it anyway. And if they're not accepting it, then technically they're breaking the law, with Article 7, which says that all merchants should accept Bitcoin if there's no other means of exchange or something. I can't remember what the exact wording is. So you mentioned that people are against it. Surely they're technically against the law then, right? Why is that the case? Why is it that you need to build more circular economies in El Salvador?
The question, I think, it will be, why not? And as a Salvadorian, and we always say it, is like Bitcoin gives you power. So it's not about if Bitcoin it's a legal tender or not. It is how can you be the owner? How can you be the person who is able to make decisions without asking for permission? How can you bring money to the country without paying these high fees? In El Salvador, many people get remittances, and they pay high fees to get the money. I mean, you're wasting a lot of time. So Bitcoin, it is not money. it is a tool to solve a lot of problems that we have in El Salvador. And having Bitcoin in the hands of the people, I think that's the main point, because it will give power to the people, which we haven't had that power like historically. So to me personally, I think that that's one of the reasons why I will like to see more circular economies in El Salvador, like to help the people, to help the poor people especially, to have a better future.
Sure. But I mean, can I push back on that a little bit? Surely that's the government's job. Shouldn't they be educating people about the importance of Bitcoin? And surely,
Is that the government's job, like teach about Bitcoin?
well, if it's the law, then surely, if I was the government and I said, tomorrow we're going to adopt Chinese as a language, then you would expect there to be Chinese language schools, Chinese community centers, help for the elderly in learning Chinese, help for the young people in learning Chinese. And there'd be some initiatives and some community centers set up to teach Chinese. Bitcoin is effectively a new language, right? I know it's a money and it's like, I'm just using this as a metaphor, but the government would do those things, and you'd expect the government to do those things because you pay tax money for these sort of social, initiatives. And yet with Bitcoin, they just said, Bitcoin is now legal tender. There you go. And that was it. It was completely hands off. So as a foreigner looking in, I'm like, what on earth was the government doing? It completely lost this opportunity. It made a crap app, Chivo. And then it didn't do anything there was no school, as far as I'm aware, there was no school education. And then it was up to you guys to build these Bitcoin circular economies. Like, how lazy is that of the government? Like, it makes me think they didn't really care about the meaning of Bitcoin as a payments technology.
It was all of a sudden that we got the law, and it was by the politicians, it became a law because of the Congress and the politicians and the presidents. I'm not sure about Bukele how much knows about Bitcoin. I know the rest of the politicians, they don't know what they voted for. They just voted because Bukele said, let's do it a law. So they don't actually understand Bitcoin. And if the people that took the decision to make it a law don't understand about Bitcoin, how are they going to educate the rest of the country?
Good question.
Right? So, and the other part is that they're still politicians. And, Bitcoin is
What does that mean?
That they care about their reputation. They're gonna tell people their winnings. Politicians don't tell people their losses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if Bitcoin is on the bear market and you bought Bitcoin when it was high and Bitcoin is going down, you don't want to talk about Bitcoin because that's like saying out loud your losses. So that's what I mean when I say they're still politicians, So I guess that's why they didn't want to push the education, because that's just like Salvadorians don't get it, right? And trying to push Bitcoin to them is like, yeah, you bought this price and now look at Bitcoin how it is. You're spending our tax money and so on. And yeah, you're not going to mention it. Now that Bitcoin is, up now, go look Bukele's Twitter, just talking about it.
But does that mean that other politicians are talking about it too? They're happy to put their reputation on the line because they know that Bitcoin is winning?
They have to understand Bitcoin first, so that they won't care, right?
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm not sure how many of them actually understand Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
5 years later, though, when the law was 2021, 4 years later, they're still not understanding Bitcoin.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a good question for them.
I'm just asking you guys, is on the ground, I'm reading the local news while I'm here, and I'm just trying to see at any point they mention Bitcoin. And obviously the big talk at the moment is taking the inmates from the US and, storing them, housing them in prisons here, and, the drink driving laws and like car accidents. And there's never, ever a mention of Bitcoin. And which clearly means the journalists don't care to write about this kind of stuff either, or, however the media works here. It's just not on the radar. It's not on the agenda. The only person that seems to be talking about it publicly is Bukele, the politician that is, and then whoever replies back to Bukele on Twitter.
Right.
But they are tweets mostly in English. So they're clearly not talking to the average Salvadoran. Yeah. So like, is Bitcoin, despite it being a legal tender, I mean, it's now not, but whatever, despite it being a legal tender for 4 years, did it ever actually speak to the local Salvadoran? Did it ever speak to, your man on the street?
How to do that is kind of, how do you talk to the people on the street? How do you educate them about Bitcoin? We're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, they could fund you guys. Is that a conversation that's ever come up? No. Okay. You look like you would not want the money around
that way. No, we prefer it that way. And I'm pretty sure the people around Berlin accepting Bitcoin prefers it that way. Okay, it will have been harder if we come with the hand of the government trying to teach them about Bitcoin, because one of the things that we spend a lot of energy on is trying to convince people that we're not from the government, or that Bitcoin is not from the government.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That people thought that us,
Yeah.
two Salvadorians and the expats that came to live here, we were getting paid by the government to be here talking about Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's the problem is that also Bitcoin was really aligned to the politics. So whenever you spoke to a Salvadorian, and it was the case when we came to Berlin, it was like you mentioned Bitcoin and they say automatically, oh, Chiva wallet, oh, the president's money. And you have to invest time in educating them, like to getting them back to zero again. So to then start talking about money and Bitcoin.
And it's so much harder to unlearn something to learn something again than it is just to learn from scratch. Yeah. Yeah. The classic thing is like, I said that Bitcoin, it's like, sí, aceptamos Chivo. And it's like, bro, like Chivo is a centralized CBDC-esque wallet that is just...
Chivo dollars.
Yeah, Chivo dollars.
Bitcoin.
It always happens. They show you the Chivo dollar QR code and then you're like, no, I said Bitcoin. And they say, oh, here's the Bitcoin on-chain QR code. You're like, no, I'm in Bitcoin Lightning. And then they're like, oh, what's that? And then you press that. And
the people who is willing to, because otherwise they will tell you, no, I'm not allowed to take Bitcoin. It is just this dollar QR code.
Yes, I had that.
That's really common.
I had that at Wendy's. I don't have the authorization to accept Bitcoin. I can only accept Chivo dollars. That's what the management told me. And like, it's like that. And then I'm like, but it's the law. And they're like, well,
yeah, but it's really fun. He doesn't like me to do that, but I really love when they tell me that, because I'm like, oh, but did you know that if I am not Salvadorian, I don't have Chivo wallet, so what would you do if somebody comes from the US and they come with another wallet? But they need to get a Chivo and you see, I mean, it's sometimes, I mean, I get frustrated. I get a mix of emotions, but in the end, I understand that we are lacking of education.
Yeah.
In so many levels, because you're trying to educate like a big chain employee. And it might be their fault because they are failing on trying to figure it out by themselves how to do the job.
Yeah.
But also you see the failure on the tier 1, the tier 2, all the people that it's above them, that they are not trying to make an effort to teach their employees.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's for sure. I mean, when I've worked in service sector jobs like hospitality and stuff, I've never looked at the credit card machine and been like, you know what, that's fascinating. I'm going to go home and learn what the point of sale device does. And like, kind of like, who cares? I just want to get the job done. I want to get a nice tip or whatever. And then I want to carry on with my day. And so if I'm told from one day to the next, you now need to use the Chivo thing, you press the QR code, you get them to scan the dollars thing, then I'm just going to do that. Like, I don't care. I'm also not paid enough to care. So it's not like, that's why I'm always, I don't want to ever blame these guys for not knowing how to accept Bitcoin, because it's not their fault. Like, it sucks.
But it has helped, because a lot of people doing the same, then they know after, because we have gone different times to go to the same cashier,
Really?
And now they know, they remember us because of the whole thing, and now they know how to do it. So it helps. I mean, what's the alternative? How else you're gonna educate people by?
Well, I thought that there'd be at least like school rollout. You educate the kids so the kids educate the adults. You give her like $1 of Bitcoin every 2 weeks for turning up to a class. You do exactly what you guys are doing, but from a more...
We have built it more like trying to build a necessity. People knows that Bitcoin here means business.
Yeah.
So it means money, it means business, it means more revenue for my, and now me that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
Rather than someone pushing it. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. But it's funny to see like Walmart and McDonald's and all these big chains, when you go, it's like a whole operation for them. Like, I want to pay with Bitcoin. They're like, I gotta go.
I need to get the mask.
Yeah, the POS or the special phone we have for that. Or I gotta call my manager. It's like
it is operation. As I say, you see the sweat starting beading on their face and they're shaking, and it's like.
And we just say, I mean, that's why people is not adopting Bitcoin, because Bitcoin should not be this complicated.
Yeah.
And when you see all this big operation happening just to collect a payment in Bitcoin. If I was not a Bitcoiner, I would just say, just leave it. I'm gonna pay cash or with.
Yeah. It's ultimately it's an ideological play, isn't it, to pay in Bitcoin in these situations? Okay, because all this context of discussing like what is going on with Bitcoin as a legal tender thing at the moment is context for this IMF question, which is, the IMF like a couple of weeks ago said, you're going to get this loan of 1.4 billion as long as you wind down Chivo, you make it so that only private businesses are allowed to accept Bitcoin. Like the government's no longer going to accept Bitcoin for taxes. I don't know who was paying their taxes in Bitcoin anyway. Maybe there were a few people doing this. And yeah, effectively, Bitcoin is as a legal tender. I mean, the definition of a legal tender is a bit like unclear, but it appears that Bitcoin is no longer a proper bulletproof legal tender the way that the dollar is, or the way that, the pound is in the UK. And so all that we've just discussed now sort of helps people to understand that, like, does this IMF change really matter? Does it change your day to day? I mean, actually, let's change it. What was your reaction to this IMF change?
I think it was a step back for everything. The IMF clearly didn't like what El Salvador was doing with the Bitcoin law, and all Bitcoiners, they love what El Salvador was doing, or the government was doing, being the rebel ship, or against the IMF, being one country that is giving the finger to the IMF. Yeah, so it meant a lot for Bitcoiners, like seeing that. And now it's no longer it's another country more doing business with the IMF. So I think that's one of the reasons he's making a lot of noise within the Bitcoin community.
Okay.
Then for Salvadorians, I was talking to you a little bit about this yesterday. People read the headline and they get informed with the headlines. And it's the same here in El Salvador. And the headlines are, Bitcoin is no longer a legal tender in El Salvador. And that's what people see. And even people that understand a little, don't understand anything about Bitcoin, like Salvadorians, they see, Bitcoin is no longer a legal tender.
Therefore, it's not legal? Is that the perception?
Yeah. It's not I'm not forced, or it's not a thing anymore. It was some 4 years, 3 years gap in El Salvador, or I don't know how to call it. Like, we have Bitcoin, not anymore. It's not a thing. And
it's like a bad dream.
Yeah. And I don't think that helps for adoption. Then the Chivo wallet thing, it sucked. I mean, what a shitty experience to use Chivo wallet. But it had some good things like, free ATM withdrawals.
And there was no spread on the price of you could sell it at Bitcoin ATM at the current price.
Yeah, there was no spread.
Yeah.
And no commission. You could buy Bitcoin for free, even though the government knows how much you're buying, but it still was for free. You were not paying anything. And there was these kind of things that I understand that are subsidized. But if the government needs to subsidize something, it might as well be the Bitcoin, Bitcoin ecosystem, or, some Bitcoin education. So I guess all of that is going to be gone as well.
Yeah.
So,
the ATMs will probably disappear as well, right?
I mean, the rumors are that it's going to be sold to a private company, and they need to make money. They're going to be business oriented. So I'm pretty sure if they sell the whole ATM systems as well, it's going to be, it needs to be profitable. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. So yeah, definitely a step back. In the Bitcoin community, El Salvador is no longer, that rebel ship that is fighting against the big powers. No, now we're one more. And when it comes to Salvadorians, the perception of Bitcoin being a legal tender, it helped a little. Now it's clearly like, we throw it away.
But I think that for people in the ground, many educators, people trying to do what we're doing here, circular economy based on Bitcoin, I mean, I don't think that it does really matter. Because, I mean, there's many people in the whole world doing it without Bitcoin being a legal tender.
Yeah, and even in places where Bitcoin is illegal, you can find Bitcoin education.
Exactly. So I think that at this point, that will give us more energy and more like willingness to keep on doing this and keep pushing harder, even harder than before. And I think that we will just continue doing what we're doing, regardless if Bitcoin is a legal tender or not. people here in Berlin, I think that we have just one person asking, and there was another Berliner. It was not even us replying to that person.
Right.
It was somebody else from the community, a local Salvadorian, asking this person to read, because and it's the same example. This person asked, "What about this?" and sent a link about a headline, Bitcoin not being a legal tender, and the IMF thing. And there was this other guy who just replied, "Did you read the article at least?" And that person was like, "No, I didn't." So
At least they're honest.
and then he started to explain what the article was about, and he just said, I mean, we can still use it even though if it's not a legal tender, Bitcoin will still circulate here. And that's the kind of answer that we are trying to look from people. That it doesn't matter, we're still going to accept it and we're still going to be using it. And I mean, there's many people here in Berlin specifically, they don't have, and in El Salvador in general, don't have access to a banking system. So they have found an alternative on how to receive money. They are not able to get a POS because they need to meet certain requirements from the banks. And they don't need to meet any requirement but to have space in their phone
Exactly.
to download an app and accept Bitcoin. So they have found a solution to a problem. So I don't think that that's going to be like a big thing, at least here in Berlin, and we're going to continue working.
Oh, I like the way you framed it as almost an opportunity. As a, you know, it is a bad thing. Yeah, sure, it's a step back, but at the same time, there are these sort of opportunities there. Is there a risk that this is the start of, or is there a risk this is the beginning of the end of Bitcoin in El Salvador? The IMF is going to keep turning the screw, and you know the government turns around and says, "Okay, we're going to tax Bitcoin. We're going to put a capital gains tax on, you know, the use of Bitcoin," because that would basically kill.
Yes, definitely.
the
I mean,
use
it's
of it.
like it's killing it in other countries, right?
Yeah. That's what persuade people to leave those countries and come to El Salvador or other, you know, tax-friendly Bitcoin places.
Exactly. As long as we don't get to that point, I think it won't.
But is there a risk? Is there something you're concerned about on the
Who
horizon?
knows? I mean, depending on what side of the bed will kill us, you know.
Yeah. It
works
really,
out,
it really is like that.
Yeah.
Okay, God. Because you know these Bitcoin purchases recently where he's been smash buying 11 BTC per day rather than 1 BTC, and they're kind of sporadic and a bit random. And I wonder whether they're buying as much as possible because as part of this IMF deal, the IMF said you need to stop those Bitcoin purchases. So, you know, they're doing their last sort of hits. You know, they're taking their last tequila shots at the bar before the bar closes, you know?
I don't know.
No?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think the law or the condition of the IMF is that you cannot buy Bitcoin with this money that I'm giving you.
Yeah.
Right? But it doesn't make any sense because that means that I'm going to use that money for whatever I want to use it. And then the money that I already had, I'm going to use it for Bitcoin. I mean, I don't know how that's going to play or if they're going to stop accepting Bitcoin. I'm not sure why the deal as well. I guess that at that level, you are playing, you know, a different game with a lot of powers. And
Also, Bukele inherited a lot of debt, you know, from and then he spent a lot of money, whether it's rounding up gangs, creating brand new prison complexes, you know.
Or, he has he likes a strong state as well.
Yeah.
So definitely spending a lot of tax money there.
Yeah.
And since we cannot print our own money, you gotta borrow it.
Exactly, and you know, the US is exporting inflation to El Salvador, and they're not close to that money spigot. I mean, people forget that like China donated the library to El Salvador, and it's a big, expensive, lovely library. It's open 24/7. It's crazy, and that was a gift.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Some other gifts coming.
There are a new stadium apparently, and
New stadium I heard. Yeah. So
The airport, this train, I think they said that it was going to be also.
I mean, I don't know if from China, but I don't know where money's coming from. It's definitely money coming. I don't know what's the deal we're making as country. And all of that, we don't know. We're not going to know. And I'm pretty sure that we're not going to know what exactly is going to be done with this new money that is coming from the IMF.
Okay.
You won't know exactly as a Salvadorian.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's enough reason for us trying to have Bitcoin in our hands.
Right, okay. Again,
We'll have to pay it.
Gives you the power, as you say. Okay. We're going to completely change gears now. We're going to do a lightning round. Okay. So please answer with the first thing that comes into your head. So some are serious questions, some are silly questions. The first one is a very serious question. Can pineapple go on a pizza? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, I think one of the pizzas last night was Hawaiian.
I know.
Okay. Bits, sats, or bitcoins?
Sats.
Cool. What's one thing Bitcoiners need to do better as a community?
Put their feet in the ground.
Just get out of Twitter more.
Okay. And Nosta too, right?
Yeah.
If you weren't working on Bitcoin, what would you be doing? Evelyn first.
Farming.
Farming. Nice. What kind of animals? Sorry, follow up, but whatever.
I don't know, like just chickens, anything that like I can raise with my hands.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Probably aiming for the same, but in the meantime, maybe a 9 to 5 job while I work towards growing my own farm and animals and so on.
So doing what Evelyn said,
Yeah.
but supporting it along the way.
Yeah.
Good answer. What is your favorite Bitcoin meme, if you have one?
I like this. No, go ahead.
Then the ones from so that there's many memes from Berlin.
Yeah.
So I like one that's this Winnie Pooh, and they talk about the other Berlin,
Oh, yeah.
and then there's Berlin, and that's Winnie Pooh with the smoking.
Okay. I think I need to show this on screen or something, or you need to show me after the interview, but this sounds great.
Yeah, no, I like
Also, it's quite anti-China. You know, that meme would be banned in China.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of things will get banned in China, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah.
No, I like one that is almost the same or look alike. This Berlin with the accent, with the stress,
Yeah, yeah.
and Berlin without the stress. Have you seen the meme of the couple walking and then pass another girl?
Oh, yeah.
The girl here is Berlin with the
Oh, I see. It's Berlin looking at Berlin.
yeah, Berlin. Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, good. That could also be the, is it the Kanye meme? You know, and it's like Berlin and like, oh no, it's Drake, where he's like shaking his head and then Berlin, you know.
We have one of that too.
Oh, you do? Okay, great. Yeah. All the best memes already taken. Okay. What price will Bitcoin hit during this bull run?
Top one.
It depends how many times Trump's mentioned it.
Okay. You can be a range as well.
I don't know.
115.
150.
15.
15. Okay, nice. Yeah.
Now, yeah, I will say 250.
250.
Yeah, 250, and yeah.
Big. Okay. And then what would you ask Satoshi Nakamoto if you could? Or what would you say to Satoshi Nakamoto if you could?
I will just say
You gotta come to Berlin. I will tell you. Come to Berlin.
Come to Berlin. Okay. That's but one of the better answers.
There's a rumor that he lives here.
Satoshi Nakamoto lives in Berlin.
We're trying to spread that rumor so more people come, but yeah, it might be true.
Okay, we'll just say it with confidence. So Satoshi Nakamoto lives in Berlin. And what's he like? Yeah. When did he last come to the center?
That's what they say. I don't know. I haven't met the guy.
Okay. And I think that concludes our lightning round. So now we're going to focus a bit more on Berlin. We've done the IMF stuff, we've done financial literacy, the context stuff in El Salvador. So what is going on in Berlin? Like we're in a podcast studio. Next door, there's another co-working space. There's the opening area. Actually, yeah, here's a question. How did you fund all of this?
We pretty much we rent all the rooms. So this place is a big house. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms.
Yeah, we subleased the place.
Wait, how do you rent a place and cover it in Bitcoin Bs? Because if I did that to my flat in Portugal, I'd be in so much trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we sublease it to basically the activities that we are doing with the center.
Yeah.
So this was mentioned to the landlord. So when I was not in the conversation. It was
No, I don't think that's on the contract though. So I'm not sure the landlord will hear this. But
He's not listening to my podcast. I think that. Well, I don't know.
no, but that's what we do. You see that there was a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So the girls paid rent so they can run the coffee shop.
Yeah.
There's a classroom which is open for different workshops and so on. Also for English classes.
Yeah.
I manage that English academy.
Nice. Okay.
Charlie, I don't know if you met Charlie. It's an Irish guy living here. So he rents an office here, and the office at the back is also being rented for workspace.
Okay.
So we get rents from everyone, and then we pay the office and the bills. The whole house and the bill, And then we're just Bitcoiners who like to hang out here and, do Bitcoin stuff. And
So how did you cover the initial investment into like, all there's like pretty lights and, the big Bitcoin B, like there was clearly a capital injection.
There's been many donations in like, we call it in Spanish in especias, which is items. So a lot of the items that we have here have been donated.
I love it.
The pretty lights, the B and the 21 symbol, those were donated. The fridge was donated. So many of the things that we have here were donated, and some others we have bought
the
it.
TVs, the coffee machine, all of that was donated by Bitcoiners. And then we use some paying money. And yes, we have received some other donations, like people that comes here and they like what we're doing. They see the QR code.
I see, yeah.
And give us a few donations. We have received help from Bitcoin Beach as well. We received a donation from Bitcoin Beach that helped us like putting this together because the house was a mess. I mean, we got a good deal on the rent, but it was a mess when we got it.
It was a restaurant for 20 years.
Restaurant, I wrote
Like a homemade meals. So can you imagine that the gym and
the mold. Okay, because I remember that this room was originally like bright orange and blue or something, was it?
it was blue and yeah.
And now I'm glad it's just white. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a serious place. It's you walk in, it's welcoming, it's well lit, and it's a lovely place to work. If I were to live in Berlin, I would be coming here most days to work from it or just to hang out.
And I promise.
And that's the purpose of this place, like to have it open to people, like anybody who wants to come. If you spend some time here at the center, you will see not only expats but many Salvadorians, and not only from Berlin. We have people that they come here from other parts of the country, trying to learn what we're doing here.
Oh, great!
That's really inspiring because there's people who is trying to start something in their communities, and they come here to try to learn. And there's people who is trying to learn about Bitcoin, and they come here, they feel welcome to be here. So there's one guy who is from a nearby town. He comes sometimes, he takes his lunch, and in his lunch time, he comes and sometimes he grabs books and starts to read them. It is an open space. We don't charge anybody to be here. And they can spend the day here. The kids from the high school, sometimes they come on Saturdays and they spend like the whole day here. They just go to get something to eat. They come back to either sometimes to do homework, or sometimes we have like a small shelf with some board games.
Yeah.
So sometimes they take those board games, they come to the back to play. So it is an open space for pretty much anybody.
So nice, yeah. And quick question about hardware wallets. Do you sell hardware wallets here, or how does the average Salvadoran get hold of a hardware wallet?
There's not many places. I think the most popular is the hardware store in Horizonte.
Yeah.
And we got some of that same products here.
So you are able to sell those things here, right? Do you sell a lot of those sort of things? Is it? I mean, are they too expensive? Is it a lack of education?
I mean, I think people will need to go through from a custodial Lightning wallet like Blink and this to a hot wallet with their own seed, and then jump to the hardware wallet. So it's a whole process, and people just not there yet. I mean,
yeah. So most business owners in Berlin, like how many are there now today? Do you know the number off the top of your head that accept in Berlin?
Like accepting Bitcoin?
Around 150 or a little bit more.
Yeah, we have a spreadsheet there, and it's around 150.
And do you go around and check these periodically and make sure you're still existing?
They look for us.
Right.
Because there's a WhatsApp group, and now we're taking this more seriously in the way how responsibilities for everyone that is working in the project.
Okay.
And we have Charlie, which is helping us to do that. And he has help from some other students. But it's pretty much like going, do you still accept Bitcoin? Yes. You sure? I want to make a transaction. Okay. Do you have a sticker? Yes. And it is like maintenance that you go through. Do you need a post machine? Because we have a few like post machines.
Oh, the Bitcoinized machines. Nice.
And,
but most of the people are just accepting it via Blink, right? So they'll have like, Boyoria, Blink.sv is there. Okay. That's interesting. So when you get to the challenges of accepting Bitcoin here, what is the classic pushback you get? Because I've heard from some merchants that did start accepting Bitcoin, say 18 months ago, they're now not willing to spend that money because they've seen it go up, 3 times. And they're like, wait, why would I spend this thing? Do you find that here, or do you find that people are okay with also receiving and spending and creating that sort of circular fashion?
We have, I think that the most common case scenario is that people using Bitcoin, spending it within the local economy. One thing that we understand that's happening here, I mean, in El Salvador, I think it's as we don't have the culture of saving. People live on a day-to-day, so most of the businesses, they use the money that they get to reinvest in the business. And there's a small, I will say, amount of vendors, at least to my knowledge, that they are saving, but they're like saving just a little bit. And most of people, they're circulating, let's say, the Bitcoin within the local businesses. I found one case. There was this business. He usually was sending the money to the bank. So, well, the idea here is that the business owners, they don't send the money to the bank. So if they need to exchange it or cash it out, that they can sell it peer to peer to somebody else in the community, because we want to keep the Bitcoin within the local community. So we usually tell the businesses to do that. We have also a buy and sell Bitcoin group in WhatsApp, because that's the communication media that we use in El Salvador.
Yeah.
So there was this merchant, and he was selling Bitcoin. And one time I approached him to try to buy Bitcoin, and he's like, "No, we're not selling right now because we have seen that the price went up, so we're keeping it."
Oh, good for them. So they are getting it,
Yeah. There's many people, and there's also some cases that they already have like a seed phrase.
Okay.
It is like Gerardo was mentioning, we are going on like stages, because not everybody gets it in on the first class, and people is in different levels. So we have a case by case scenario with people.
Okay. Super. Anything to add to that, Gerardo?
Yeah, no, just like she said, there's different stages, and we have learned that through time. And there's a lot of people spending Bitcoin, definitely, like receiving and using it.
Yeah.
Not that many people saving it. We're working towards that. We were worried, like 2024, we work a lot on Bitcoin adoption. Like, we didn't care. We just wanted people to start accepting Bitcoin or using Bitcoin. This year, we're not that worried about quantity.
Okay.
More. I mean, people is coming because they know Bitcoin means business.
Right.
But we're more worried about people saving it in a proper way. 'Cause I know there's a lot of people saving in Bitcoin on Blink or some other wallet. Still, they are exposed to Bitcoin. They see the price of Bitcoin increasing. They start asking the right questions when they see Bitcoin and how it works and why it's going up or why it's going down. And getting familiar with these stable coins or stable sats, depending on what Bitcoiner you ask, that's a good or a bad thing. And people is getting exposed to Bitcoin. So slowly, we have a few that we know that they have come here looking for help to get their own seed phrase, to trying to find a better way to save their Bitcoin.
Right.
There's some other people saving it, not in the right way, these Lightning wallets. And there's some other people just spending it. So different stages of people, and we're just open here for give support to everyone and have the information available. So whenever they get interested, they'll find it.
Okay, so I guess the bad thing to do is to save, $3,000 or $1,000 on a Chivo wallet or a Blink wallet or something, right?
Yeah,
okay, that's when you want to get to the hot wallet stage. Okay, what hot wallets do you recommend? Is it blue wallet?
Blue.
Blue
Wallet.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how do you sort of? Is there a program you're following? Is it mostly the My First Bitcoin thing, or how is?
Yeah, My First Bitcoin. I don't think they go all the way through hot wallets, don't they? I mean,
They should do, no? But the exam is about wiping.
Yeah, it's true.
I've seen
So, yeah.
kids do it.
Yeah, no, we use it a lot because I think my first Bitcoin book gets really well the whole history of money.
Yeah.
The teaching about money before teaching about Bitcoin, I think that's genius. So that's the way how we teach it here as well when we try to go deeper on Bitcoin. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. So where's this going to be in, like, if I was to come back in 2030, are we going to be like walking into a town where everyone's walking around with like red light glasses on, eating steaks and like shooting laser eyes at people and
Probably
chanting Bitcoin memes? Is this the vision for Bitcoin in Berlin?
No, well, I mean, I think that we're trying to make it practical for people. I mean, we try to teach people and like the basics of Bitcoin so that they can understand Bitcoin as a tool. But then Bitcoin can mean and serve in one way for me and one way for you.
Okay.
So what we expect, or I expect from people, is to make the best use of Bitcoin for them specifically. I'm not the person who is going to give you a diploma that you're a Bitcoiner or not. It depends what is Bitcoin for you.
Right. Okay.
So what I want people is to really understand the philosophy of Bitcoin, what it means to them, because to me, understanding Bitcoin not only in the sense of money, but in the sense of how Bitcoin can influence your life, but your personal life. That is what led me to try to help others, like to be more proactive on trying to create a better world, a better community for the people, and to share that there are many opportunities in life. And it's not only about Bitcoin, it's about everything, like how to improve your community, how to keep it clean, how to help people to learn skills. That's nothing related to Bitcoin, like to learn a new skill, but it's like what Bitcoin makes me feel. And that's what I want people to be able to get from Bitcoin, like all these other things that comes with Bitcoin.
It's a lovely sentiment. Yeah. You don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. Another meme. Sorry. You can literally just encapsulate everything into memes, can't you? If you had unlimited resources, what would you do next?
Bring the whole circular economy to El Salvador.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Crack the whip. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Sorry, I'm kidding.
Yeah, because we need more Berlin, the towns like Berlin.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's gonna happen like, different examples of a town getting really touristic and and it doesn't develop like the way how locals would like to be developed. So we need more towns. We need the whole Salvador.
Okay. I wanted to ask one quick final theme on gentrification and the potential challenge of, and we've seen this with El Zonte, right? El Zonte real estate prices have tripled in the past 5 years. So naturally that is pricing out locals. What a lot of people forget is that there are also Salvadorans returning to this country that when they left, it wasn't safe. Right. Now it's super duper safe. To what extent are you seeing this trend play out in Berlin? Is it something that concerns you? Is it something that excites you? Are you seeing, prices start to creep up in Berlin because of, again, not just Bitcoiners moving here, but also Salvadorans and, I guess expats that haven't got anything to do with Bitcoin as well?
Yeah.
What's your take?
So yeah, even though $300 might sound cheap monthly for a house, that's quite expensive for a Salvadorian income.
Yeah, the minimum wage is what, $350 a month?
$365.
$365, okay.
Minimum income. And there's even families of 4 or 5 living on that, on one minimum wage. So, so yeah, it's kind of expensive. And it's not because the Bitcoiners community has been like that for a while. There's not many opportunities here in Berlin if you use a high school student graduated. So what most people do is that they go, historically, that's what that they have been doing, like going to the United States.
Right.
So a lot of Berliners in the States sending money back and building their houses here or buying land and houses. And
so that creates inflation. Well, not inflation, but that inflates the prices, rather.
Because they're occupying space. They have 2-3 houses within Berlin. And they use it once a year or so. And you see this quiet look house. Yeah, I would like to rent that house and that other one. Now they're from people from the United States or Berlin's that are living there. There's also the geothermal plant. Have you heard that we have a geothermal plant that is mining Bitcoin and so on? So it's a huge plant, and they need a lot of employees. So they bring employees from other countries or other parts of El Salvador, and the geothermal plant rents houses, like big houses here in around Berlin, and they give those houses to their employees. And they don't care how much it is. They
don't need to
all of that. And there's not many Bitcoiners living here. There's
around 14, I think.
14, 20,
16.
between 15, 20. The most that we have had is maybe around 30. And then people come and go, but permanently, maybe around 15. So it's not like they're inflating or taking over the town or, There's a lot of people coming to visit, not just a few staying or living here. So I think it can happen just like El Sante. Eventually people is going to look how the potential that Berlin has, or a lot of tourism coming, and that's why I was telling you we need more towns like Berlin. So it won't happen.
Doesn't tempt you to buy some land in Berlin, knowing that in 5 years' time?
There's people doing that already, but it's right now. I mean, we need to decide: do we want land or do we want Bitcoin right now? Because if we get land, we'll have to get rid of most of the Bitcoin, and I think the safe bet right now is Bitcoin. So
it's an easy question for me.
Right. So definitely land is in the plans, but right now you need to decide. So we need to stack more.
We'll need to stack more. Noted. Okay. Evelyn, was there anything you want to add to that?
No, I think the Gerardo has it covered. But I mean, with the prices, when we came here, I think that the prices hasn't changed that much. They were already inflated. I got quite scared, or I mean, shocked. Maybe it is the right word, because when I was expecting at least half of the prices that we found when we came. Because I mean, it's not like that, not San Miguel, and even San Miguel, it's really expensive right now. It's like the prices from San Salvador, really expensive. El Salvador itself is expensive, and
it is, especially if you compare it to neighboring countries. But then I guess that's the price you pay for security, right? This is a victim of its own success in that regard.
Yeah. So I mean, I expect not to happen gentrification, but there are things that are maybe unavoidable that might happen. So what I hope, and we always say it here with local people, that we want healthy tourism coming here, and that's what we want. I mean, we want to boost the economy, and Bitcoin is helping to do that, but we want to keep it healthy, and we are going to try our best to do what we can, but I mean, we cannot control many things.
Okay. We've been going for well over an hour. I'm sure you want a break. Is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that you would have liked me to ask you? Is there anything we've missed out in this conversation this morning?
No, just come to Berlin. If you're a Bitcoiner, come to Berlin.
Come meet Satoshi.
Yeah, come meet Satoshi. Don't ask that question that you want to ask, and come spend the town. Don't believe us. We always say it. You gotta come verify if it's true what we're saying about Berlin and El Salvador in general, right? So you're always welcome to come to Berlin.
Awesome.
No, thank you very much for having us, and thank you for also helping us to give visibility to the project, because that's one of the things that we're also looking for this year, to let more people know, even Salvadorians know, that Berlin exists.
Yeah, it's real. I'm living it, living proof. Okay, wicked. Well, thank you so much, Evelyn. Thank you so much, Gerardo. Gracias a ustedes. If you're not following Bitcoin Berlin by now, what the hell are you doing? Get out your phone right now. Is Twitter and Nostr, or just Twitter right now? I know
so far.
Twitter. So at Bitcoin Berlin SV, or just at Bitcoin Berlin?
SV.
At Bitcoin Berlin SV. SV standing for
El
Salvador. And they are building a website, which possibly by the time we publish this, it might be there, which will be www.bitcoinberlin.sv, I imagine.
Now
have we got the domain name?
Be bitcoinberlinsv.com.
.com. Oh, okay. I get why.
Bitcoinberlin.com.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair. Too late. Someone
way.
short play and
Who stole that?
I don't know.
Some Berliner in Germany
Probably.
listening to techno and buying domain names. God. Okay. Thank you. If you enjoyed this, let us know what you think in the comments down below. I want to thank Plan B Network, which is a one-stop shop for all things Bitcoin education. It's free to use, and you can find all about Bitcoin circular economies on there too. I think Bitcoin Berlin is actually featured on planb.network, so check it out. And then the other person to thank is Coin Corner. Coin Corner is a British Bitcoin exchange. They're a wonderful place to buy Bitcoin. I can't tell you to buy Bitcoin, but I can tell you a place where you can buy Bitcoin. Hope to see you all very soon. Do what you love and save in Bitcoin.